Hello and welcome to our SUSECon 2023 session. Test drive the Kubernetes stacks. Today we would like to present a couple of data-driven transformation projects that we have implemented. For all of these projects, we have used SUSE Rancher and SUSE Harvester. This presentation is not only about the projects, it's also how we developed for us in Fujitsu and Kubernetes HCI stack over the last few months. This stack will be used for quick and cost-effective implementation for our own projects as well for our projects together with our customers. The main goal of developing this stack was to have a solution where we can run SAP data intelligence on top of it. But however, the stack should be generic enough so that we can use it for all our Kubernetes solutions. We, that's Mota and me, Jochen Riedeser. So please, Mota, introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, Jochen. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and very, very welcome to SUSECon 2023. My name is Mota Harekade. I'm SAP Solution Architect in SAP Competence Center team in Waldorf, based in Germany. I'm part of the team, as Jochen mentioned. We are working together for implementing the Kubernetes stack inside the Fujitsu. So, Jochen, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Jochen Riedeser. I'm the Deputy CTO of the platform business Fujitsu Europe, and I'm also a Fujitsu Fellow. I'm supporting the distinguished Fujitsu engineers. Before we start and give you a deeper insight in our Kubernetes stack, let's have a view on the sessions, on all the Fujitsu sessions that are planned for the SUSECon 2023. We have this session with Mota and me, but we have an additional session with Udo Wirtz and Christian Holsing, also about AI projects in Kubernetes, together with SUSE Rancher. The third session will be Christian Klitscher's session, the important role of Kubernetes in modern software landscape and why Rancher is the key to success. And the fourth session will be a session from Miguel and Fabian about infrastructure agnostic approach to SAP application operation. You will find all these 4 sessions live in Munich or online, the recording online. Agenda, I will give you an overview about the situation and why we started with Kubernetes and Harvester. And then we go step by step what we did, what we implemented, and why we implemented this. So now let's get started. Let's have a deeper look to the Fujitsu Kubernetes stack. There in the market, in the business, there is a change ongoing. In the past, we talked about newer CPUs, faster CPUs, virtualization, and cloud. So yeah, this is between 90, 50, 90, 60, 70, up to 2010. In 2010, the situation changed slightly. Sure, technology is still important for us, but it's more than only technology. Data, big data, becomes more and more important. So when I talk about data, it's not about it's in the cloud or is it on-prem. This is not the important thing. The important thing is having the data available and working with the data. This is very important part of it. And working with data means also the kind of work or how we work with the data. So for example, continuous integration or continuous development plays a very big role. So for example, downtime is not tolerated. Or do you have seen, for example, that Spotify or Instagram or Facebook is down for deploying a new software version? No, this is not the case. And this is also something what we want to achieve with our Kubernetes stack and following the cloud native trail. We decided to go and to use SUSE software, SUSE Rancher for Kubernetes and SUSE Harvester, because for us it's the quickly and easy start in our digitization projects. And our goal was to create a platform which we can use for our AI projects, SAP Data Intelligence or open source solutions, as well for everything else. And that was the reason why we worked over a few months now, around about a year, to have everything available in place and well-trained people. Before we go into detail and explain more what we did and why we did, I will show you one of the projects which we did with on top of the stack. So for example, let's talk about electric cars. So electric cars becoming more and more important. So as you can see, the ratio of electric cars is increasing. The revenue and the margin is becoming more and more important. But it's not only selling electric cars, it's also that you need the infrastructure. The infrastructure means, for example, charging points and charging point or the planning where the charging points should be located. And for this, you need the information. You need the information, the amount of cars are on the road, charging time, and so on. And that was the reason why we worked together with an European motorway company. They were interested in having an AI solution, which is using their existing cameras that are already installed to check the electric vehicles, the electric cars, they're currently on the road. So we decided to use the cameras for computer vision, and we decided to use leading edge AI development tools. And to use this AI development tools, we need Kubernetes, the SUSE Rancher and the SUSE Harvester to run our tools on top and deploy this solution to the data center of the motorway maintenance company. And what we are doing is we are doing an traffic plate recognition. So where we try to figure out if this is an electric car. So in Germany, it's an E at the end. In Austria, for example, it's a green number plate. Or in the UK, for example, they have this kind of green field, green box at the beginning. And the AI solution that we developed is using Kubernetes and Harvester is running on top of it. And when we're talking about the projects that we are running on Kubernetes or on Harvester, our AI projects, our digital transformation projects, it's not only about you need a complete ecosystem. So it's a step-by-step approach. You're starting with the idea, you're doing the co-creation ideas, you're doing test driving the ideas, and then you bring the idea to life. And this is a kind of agile approach. So from the idea, working with the idea, and then step by step doing the development. And that was the reason that is not only that we are not only talking about the software and the tooling. It's more. It's the software. It's the ecosystem. It's the ecosystem partners. You need the data scientists, and the way how to work is fully supported, or Rancher helps us, and Harvester as well helps us to follow this agile approach, and bringing also our ecosystem partners together and working together on these solutions. And going down from the projects, from the stakeholders, from all the people who are working on the projects, at the end of the day, you need a place where you can try and work, because digital transformation projects are very complex, and you are not sure at the beginning if everything is working well. You need more insights about the compute power or memory or whatever. So that's the reason why we started having a test drive, an AI test drive, where we can work with different configurations, where we can try in front of developing new solutions, for example. And this is some kind of infrastructure testing where we have the latest technology and software available. And this is also the area where we set up our Kubernetes stack, where we started developing, working on the stack. That was the first level. The second level is where we installed all the AI tools on top of it. And at the end of the day, where we start with the project, for example, as the motorway company, as I already mentioned, the projects leveraging from the knowledge, from the stack and the technology, before we take this and bring this to the customer data center. I spend a lot of time talking about the projects, but now I have a deeper insight into the stack I'm talking about. For sure, when I'm talking about the stack, it starts with the hardware, with the servers and the storage, typically with our Fujitsu servers, with our storage. Then on top of that, we decided to go with Harvester as a hyper-converged solution. On top, we have the Kubernetes distribution, RKE1, 2, K3S. We use Rancher for managing all these Kubernetes stacks. And then there is a very important layer. Doing development is one thing, but there is another very important aspect, which is security. There, from SUSE, there is also a solution which is Neuvector, which we can use very easily in our Kubernetes stack. And on top, we have the workloads. And for the projects I mentioned, you can run SAP, data intelligence, for example, or everything else. And when I say everything else, we develop, for example, in sentiment analysis, which is also using the stack. So let's have a deeper look. It's also important to mention, this is the stack, but this stack, to have the stack maximum flexible, you need also other partners. You need also, for example, partners for the network or for storage. And the flexibility of Rancher and Harvester, it's an open, it's flexible, so that we do not have any issues working with these partners, so that we have the absolute perfect solution for our customers. As I mentioned, we developed also in sentiment analysis, and this is another example. Customer asked us if there's a possibility to have an automatic solution to do an analysis of the market in case of sentiment analysis. And we decided, for example, to do an analysis of Twitter data. So if you launch a new product or a new software release, you need the feedback from the customer. And in best case, you need an automated feedback. And the easiest way is to develop a software solution which is automatically tracking Twitter in this case, but it could be LinkedIn, Instagram, or whatever. And with the sentiment analysis, you get a very good insight about thousands of tweets, if they are positive or negative. And if they are very positive, then you can use it for marketing purposes, or if they are negative, you can open automatically a ticket. For this session here, it's important, the complete development was also done in a continuous integration, continuous deployment approach. So the complete solution is running on top of Rancher. We have the web UI, we have the AI logic, the monitoring, everything in different containers. The development is done with partners around Europe. And the solution is checked in GitLab, automatically deployed on the cluster, running on top of Kubernetes and Harvester. And so that the solution is always available, is doing the analysis. And yeah, the solution looks like this. So if you now analyze Twitter, you get an information about tweets, positive tweets, negative tweets. Twitter gives you also the possibility to find out where the tweet, or there's a geolocation attached to the tweet, so that you have a very good information about very positive, very negative customer feedback, and you have also the information about the country or the city where this tweets occur. And this is working, for example, if there is no new operating system, launch a new product, a new car, and maybe in some countries you have some issues, you're not aware of it, with a sentiment analysis, it will be done. Yeah, absolutely automatically. AI on top of Kubernetes helps you here very well. And that was the business, from technology to data to use cases. Now I want to hand over to Muta. Muta gives you more insight what we did in the stack. So Muta.
Sure. Thank you so much, Johan. Yeah, I would like to give you more details about the technical level, what we did in the past, and how looks like our stack, and technical details regarding the Rancher, regarding our Archi2, Kubernetes cluster, SubDI, Longhorn, and more details. For example, load balancer. I will give you overview about the old solution that we did in the past. So please go to the next slide, Johan. Thank you so much. First of all, cluster architecture. The first point is, as you know, a Archi2 Kubernetes cluster consists of master node and worker node, right? Here is only an example which show you how looks like the cluster. But in the prod production environment, we have 3 master nodes, and for installing the SAP Data Intelligence on this Archi2 cluster, we need at least 4 worker nodes. That means for production environment, you need 3 master nodes and 4 worker nodes. And sometimes we would like to recommend our customer to have one management node for only management node. The name calls what's the nodes is doing. Manage the cluster. For example, kubectl get in nodes, or kubectl look all commands that you want to manage the cluster. You want to check the status of the cluster. Again, the cluster Archi2 Kubernetes cluster we use for these purposes. We use our primary G RX2440 M6 right now, and again we use we install the Archi2 Kubernetes cluster with Longhorn and that and SubDI. And at this point, I would like to mention one point. So the point is we started with the technical stuff. In our team that I'm working on, that we started to set up the Archi2 cluster with using, for example, Linux commands, which for us is really so. We have a lot of fun to do that, right, manually, and to set up that. But our purpose is we want to support different groups. We have this of our roadmap. Maybe in the for sure, in the future, the groups that they use our solution, maybe they are in sales, they are in pre-sales, they are in consulting, they are in different groups. Therefore, we cover the both solution. That means on one side, set up the system manually with Linux command, which for the people that they have experiences with Linux is great, right? But on the other side, we have think about that. Okay, we talked about that internally a lot. How we can make the way easier for the people they don't have experience with Linux. So then we tested everything in Rancher, which is really great tools from SUSE. Is a simple to use, and you can install the Archi2 Kubernetes cluster exactly in Rancher with just one or two clicks. You have your worker nodes, you have a master node. That means that all the steps that we were doing manually in the background on the Linux, the Rancher makes us for us easier. That was the point that I wanted to mention here. We offer both solution in our installation guide and documentation. Please go to the next slide. Okay, thank you. Here is the Kubernetes sizing. Here is in the table sheet, you see the minimum size of resources for RAM and CPU, and this size for having the Archi2 Kubernetes cluster. As I mentioned in the last slide, you need a management node, 3 master, 1 management node, 3 master node, and 4 worker nodes. The size, RAM size of management and master node, we recommend 16 gigabyte of memory, and for worker nodes, for each one 32 gigabyte. And for CPU, for each one 8 cores, and disk space is 120 gigabytes. So I have to mention here that is minimum requirement for having Archi2 cluster, for installing Archi2 cluster. But for the customer, according the customer requirement or the people that they need more resources. They want to extend the cluster with a lot of different I mean, you have Archi2 cluster, you have Longhorn tab, you have SubDI, and in SubDI you have the different pipeline modeler, and you want to use that for machine learning or something else. You need maybe more RAMs and more CPU, and you can of course increase the memory. Here in this table sheet, we recommend the minimum requirement 16 gigabyte for master node, and for worker nodes for memory size 32, and for CPU 8 cores. But of course, we are open to increase the resources, the hardware resources. So the number of nodes I mentioned, 1 management and 3 master node, and 4 worker nodes. Why we recommend you to have 3 master node? Of course, this is for HA, high availability solution. If 1 master node is done, we want to have the solution that the cluster is still up and running. Therefore, we recommend for production environment 3 master nodes. So next slide, please, Jochen. Thank you so much. So again, a Longhorn as a solution, as a persistence volume solution. Here in this slide, I would like to mention 2 points. Again, our teams, or technical teams with Jochen teams, we are discussing a lot. The solution that we select is not only, I mean, that is a really is great teamwork is behind. In the Longhorn, we offer our customer both solution. On one side, air gap, that means the offline installation Longhorn, and on the other side, online installation. And we tested both way. We tested both way more times, and we checked that how looks like the steps on the air gap for the customer that they don't have access to the internet, and for the online installation as well. At this point, I have to mention again another point. For sub DI, so look, you have your Archie2 cluster. You install Longhorn. Again, you have two-way. With Helm, you install your Longhorn, or again Rancher. You can use Rancher. So you have your Archie2 cluster, and then with the one click, you can install the Longhorn as a services on the top on your cluster, right? So in Rancher, that means this is very simple to install if you use the Rancher. So and you import your nodes to Longhorn, and the recommendation is for installing the SubDI SAP Data Intelligence. You have to assign for each worker nodes 300 gigabytes more additional disk. That means for 4 worker nodes, you need 1.2 terabyte of disk, right? So just wanted to mention, but because SubDI needs more disk capacity for installation. So that was Longhorn, Jochen. And next, yeah, SAP Data Intelligence. SAP Data Intelligence enables you to leverage enterprise application to become an intelligence enterprise, and provides a unified way to manage, integrate, and process all your company's data, and had different components, different functions. This is really is a powerful tools. It's offered SAP data intelligence. It's offered then machine learning method, has in pipeline modeler more than 250 graphs and 300 operators in pipeline modeler, which you can implement your the system that you want to have in your company according to your requirement, or you want to implement something as a user scenario for training your system, is also possible in SAP Data Intelligence. We are working on this part. We are talking with different customer, and we are working on this part to offer the solution or a usage scenario solution, which would be interesting for our customer. But on this part, we are in the implementation process, and we are working on this part, which is really, again, SAP Data Intelligence is the powerful tools to achieve the different usage scenario according to customer requirements. The last slide, I think, Johan, or okay. So load balancer, why I added this slide here. Normally, if you installed Archie2 cluster, and you have Longhorn on the top, and you have Longhorn in the not on top, on the top of Archie2 cluster, and again on the top you have SubDI. But the point is, the services for Longhorn and for SubDI normally per default are not port. So not port, which is good, right? We are satisfied, but with node port, you have to care of the port number. That means your Longhorn with the specific IP address, which port has this system. You want to have access to your Longhorn in the browser, but you have to care of the port number that is available in the list of the ports, and with all services as you see. Okay, you have to check that. So and then put that in the browser. So this is okay, but we want to offer our customer more flexibility. Load balancer is a solution that you have. In this case, we use Metal LB, so the layer 2 solution of Metal LB. And in this case, we defined a pool of IP address and the service, for example, Longhorn. If we start this service, if we start and set up this service on our system, the service can take the IP address from this pool that we already defined, and we don't need to care of the exactly the port number that already, for example, defined in comparison to node port, right? That is the way we want to offer our customer more solution. We want to give the customer more flexibility. Therefore, that's exactly the point that we tested a lot, and it works. So for Longhorn and also for SubDI, that means we define both services as Metal LB load balancer layer two configuration. And last slide, I think this is regarding our stack. I would like to give you again overview. Johan, if you go to the next slide, would be really so great. Thank you so much. The last slide is again about our stack, as Johan mentioned. Specific from this stack, of course, we use our hardware, Fujitsu Primage RX25, 40 M6, and Rancher, Archi2, a Kubernetes distribution Rancher, which is really, I would like to say, simple to use, as it's really great tools. We are very satisfied with that, and we use Virt Manager to create our VM. But as Johan mentioned, we use also Harvester in our different labs, and we have experiences with Harvester. And we set up all the Harvester as high availability environment, and we imported Harvester to Rancher, which is really the combination with both tools is really very, very great. So, and we use slash 50 SP3 and SP4 for our VM, and we use Longhorn right now, version 1.4.1. And SAP Data Intelligence, the one point that I forgot in the SAP Data Intelligence slide was we have also experiences to how we can upgrade the SAP Data Intelligence 3.2 to 3.3. Because right now, the current version is 3.3.9, which is great. We already installed, but we tested how it looks like the upgrade process from 3.2 to 3.3, and we did the task, and that was it was done successfully, and therefore we documented everything in our installation documentation guide. So here at this point, I think I'm finished, Johan, with my part. So next slide, I think it says question and answer.
Yeah, so feel free if you are interested in, if you have questions. So also on the recorded sessions, we are open for discussion. If you're interested in talking with us about the stack or the hurdles and challenges which we had with our stack implementation, yeah, it would be great if you contact us. We're looking forward to see and hear from you. So thank you for your time, and yeah, hopefully we see us.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you and meet you in person in Munich.